welcome to the Image Wellness Project. I'm your host, Dominique McMullen. We're recording here in the beautiful, iconic offices, and we are sponsored by Activia and Irish Life Health. This is the podcast where we explore the multiple ways in which we can nourish our bodies, our minds, and our souls. Today, I am joined by John Belton. John is a trainer, a personal trainer to very many well-known Irish faces. He has 23 years experience under his belt. He's also experienced multiple extreme endurance challenges from the Arctic to the Amazon. And he has proved time and time again he is one resilient, strong human. I am so excited to chat to him here today. So welcome, John Belton. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm getting there.
Yeah, we're always getting there, aren't we?
Yeah, I'm better now. I'm seeing you, actually.
Where's there, as a matter of interest? Where are we trying to get to?
I don't know, John.
Do you ever get worried about that? That like you're constantly just trying to chase something and all of a sudden you're just going to wake up someday and you're like, where is there?
Yeah.
That's where I feel I am, if you just answer that question.
Well, you're in kind of a crossroadsy place, so I'm not surprised.
I don't think it's a crossroads. I know where I'm going. I'm not stuck at a crossroads. It's a bit of an uphill climb at the moment.
Yeah.
Well able for hills, though.
Well, if anyone is able for hills, it's you. Absolutely. So for those who might not know, let's give a little introduction to John Belton, to what it is that you do.
I'm a performance coach in the sense of I've worked with people. I don't say athletes, I don't say clients. I've worked with people for nearly 25 years. I started working in the fitness industry when I was 16. I'm not 16 now, I'm 41. So I've been in the industry for a while. I've been properly working as a personal trainer for about 23 years. The clientele I work with are people who are looking to be the best versions of themselves they can be. The industry has massively evolved in that period of time, as you can imagine. But I guess to summarise what I do, I help people release their full potential.
I love that. And you helped me release my full potential 7 years ago was when I trained with you. Yeah, before my wedding and a little bit afterwards. And actually, when I was thinking about prepping for this interview and chatting to you, it wasn't just the fitness that you gave me or that I experienced when I was training with you. You were also kind of like a little bit of a therapist as well. Like there were a lot of chats.
Yeah, you know what? There's always a lot of chats, and there's always not always, but there can be tears.
Yeah,
there can be anger, and there can be.
I think I went through all of those.
Lots of different emotions, and that's just me. No, but like the thing is that exercise, I guess, is a catalyst for change.
Yeah,
exercise is a catalyst for change for people who want to get fitter, who want to drop body fat, change body composition, who want to improve in their own opinion. You know who they are across the board, whether it's through their career. Whether it's through reaching their full potential or whether it's through, getting the strength to take on something big like perhaps leaving a relationship or changing a career or something like that. So exercise for me is, when I talk about it and when I work with my clients, when I sit down with someone to start with them, I ask them what their goal is, and it'll always be, well, drop a few pounds or fit into this dress, or the wife has told me I need to drop a few pounds, or I should do this because I'm this age type of thing. But when we take some of the layers off, we realise that there's more to it. And I kind of feel like I'm in a space where I can help people realise what it is that's holding them back and then help them release that on some level. And, the means that I use is exercise. I help people get fitter. I help people realise their true potential. And in doing that, I love seeing what that person becomes on that journey.
And it is transformational. A lot of the journeys you brought people on are transformational.
And massively so, yeah. And, not always, because I suppose maybe people aren't ready or that the connection isn't there, that I might not be the right person for everybody. We have an array of different coaches, and I do see that, like one of my roles when a new person comes in to see the facilities is to try and partner them with a personality that will match or support what they may need, which is, I suppose, a bit of an assumption from me based on sitting down with someone. But I guess the transformation is definitely is a magic thing, that we're constantly evolving and we're constantly transforming. I feel like we're either transforming forward or going backwards on some level. So I think a good fitness coach can really help you transform yourself, propel yourself forward, prevent yourself getting sick, and I suppose that's one thing I've learned from being in the industry for so long, is now I see the clients who've been with me for 20 years versus their peers. They're now in their 50s or maybe even into their 60s, and their peers are quite sick, or their peers are unable to play with grandkids, or their peers are not able to do what they do. And so yeah, it's a lifelong journey.
And when you're pairing people with coaches, I think that's really interesting. Are there different people, are there people who walk in, you're like, okay, she's going to need like a scary, person, there's someone who needs a softer touch?
I think that there's probably a couple of pieces, because I've kind of only realised this is something that I do. There's availability. That's one component. So like, okay, you'd work well with Kevin, but Kevin's not free at that time, so Kevin's gone now. There's also the personality piece. You know what? I say the fitness industry is built on, I think it was 4 R's. So you have to build a relationship with your client. It has to be professional, obviously. You have to work on results. They need to see some sort of results. You need to find ways for retention. So like, how do you keep them moving forward? How do you keep them coming to you? And then you ask for a referral. So when it comes to the relationship piece, it's important that there is something, that there are ways that the person can connect with their coach. That doesn't mean you're best friends. In fact, that's actually something we try and avoid. You don't need to get into that, that role where you are best mates, and then all of a sudden you're going out for dinner and having pints and doing all this. That's where things go wrong. So it's learning how to find the strengths of the coach, know what the strengths are of the coach, and perhaps pair them with that right individual who needs someone who can give them a bit of tough love, or needs someone who can be compassionate, or needs someone who can just listen to them. I did a great course years ago as part of an OPEX qualification. I was in Arizona for whatever period of time it was, and it was a life coaching course. And I was like, I have to do this life coaching. It was like a syllabus to the course, but to pass you had to do that. So I sat down and I really found it to be the most helpful course I've ever done, but also most informative, and probably the most transformative for me as well, because we were talking about personality types and masculine and feminine people, and what drives them and what motivates them, and what holds them back, and how to communicate with them. And that was just like someone just giving me this like easy play sheet on how to communicate with people and how to coach people. And I think that's important, to try and assume that, or get as much of that as you can from an initial conversation with someone, so you can pair them with the right person.
Do you know, it's so interesting hearing you say that, because it takes me back to when I trained with you, and when I first met you, and I thought that you were kind of quite scary.
Don't know why that is always the story. I don't want to be the scary person.
And yet you are. And actually, I was only talking to someone in the car on the way here and saying, I was chatting to you today, and I was like, he's the sweetest, softest, most lovely guy.
I don't know what to say to that, because people say to me that they want to, I was like, I saw you something, I want to say something, but you're too intimidating, too scary. And like, honestly, I actually find it really hard to hear that.
I'm sorry.
No, but I suppose, look, I don't lose sleep over it, but I don't want to be that person. But I obviously have that exterior that's there, and I know based on my own life why maybe there's a hardened exterior there. But and I guess maybe I feel I need to have that, because you're taking on other people's stuff, so there needs to be an element of defence there. So perhaps that's it, or maybe I've just been hardened through adversity. I'm not fully sure.
I think it's just the big muscles.
I don't think that's it at all.
I do remember very clearly a moment though where I was running on one of those curvy treadmills, and you were right in my face, and I was like, I can't do it, I'm going to get sick, and I was crying.
I remember that.
Do you remember
that? Was that Marion Square?
Yes.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah. And you were right in my face, and you were like, you just stopped, and you were like, you can do it.
Yeah.
And I still think of that moment.
Yeah.
I'm like, I
actually feel like I remember, honestly feel like I remember that.
Yeah.
There are moments, right? There's moments, I mean, I would regard myself as actually not having a fantastic memory about certain things, because life seems to be going at 1,000 miles an hour. And then there's these moments where I can just recall smells, colours, like everything about that one micro little second. And I think that those moments, are when I reflect on my career, and when I look back on things, like there's moments that I remember with Indy, there are moments I remember with Adrian, and I suppose really that's the way my memory works anyway. Like my life is all just little moments that make a collective of memories. But I think I do remember talking to you like that. And there's another lady whose podcast I was on mentioned about having a similar experience on that treadmill, and I remember that too. Yeah, so there you go.
Yeah, there you go. I'm sure there's a lot of people with those memories of you.
Yeah.
Can you talk to me about accountability, about how important that is when it comes to someone's fitness journey, wellness journey generally?
Yeah, I think the most, when people ask me about, you know, training kit and equipment and things like that, I think the most important thing anyone can have is a good training partner or accountability partner. I think that trumps any gym, any training space, any piece of fitness equipment or any app. If you've got someone that you have to show up for and commit to your, you know, regular sessions and your regular exercise, that is the most important thing in the world, because the compounding exercise is all about compounding. It's all about small, consistent progressions that over time yield big results. Okay, so having someone there that you have to show up for, and that can be anything from, I need to do this for my kids, I need to do this for myself, I need to do this because I don't want to let Mary, who's meeting me for this walk down, whatever it is. I think accountability is extremely important. And I guess as a personal trainer, people pay us for the accountability piece as well. You know, it's an appointment that if you miss it, you get charged for it. I'm here waiting for you at 6 a.m. If you don't show up, that's pretty disappointing. What's this all about? And it shows me where your focus is. It's not where it needs to be. So the accountability piece is huge.
And the shared community piece as well. Like, I think in gyms especially, you get a feeling, you start to recognise the same people and you're kind of doing it together.
Shared suffering, I guess, on some level.
Yeah,
the community piece, again, something that I've only really realised, perhaps as I've matured a little bit in life, the importance of that. It's massive. And when I think about the relationships that people have forged in the gym and the conversation, like there's this flow state, pardon the pun, for those who can relate to it, feeling in my gym when there's a number of coaches on the floor, there's a number of clients training, everyone's kind of swerving around each other as they lunge and push prowlers and lift rowers around, and there's this little murmur of banter that's going on, and there's a mute song playing and someone's loving it, and we're kind of all having it. And when that's going on, everybody's just in this place where, you know, there's this mute, and this could be 6 a.m. and there's this lovely feeling feeling of kind of, you know, camaraderie about it. There's a feeling of a shared journey about it, but there's also this kind of feeling of like, we're all a little bit mad, but at least we're all in this together. And I think it's super. And oftentimes now, like, I was gone out of the gym for a little period and I'm back, and clients are always like, whatever happened to, you know, that person who trained at 7 o'clock, or I haven't heard from him, is he okay, or was she okay, whatever it was. So it's huge. Community is a huge thing. When CrossFit grew, I worked for CrossFit for 7 years, and one of the biggest things CrossFit did was talk about community. And I was like, God, this is another American cheesy thing. And as I got into the belly of CrossFit and saw what it was, I was like, whoa, okay, now I get what community actually is. You know, and I think as people started to move around, especially in the States, different states or different countries, and moved to the States, they wanted to feel like they belonged somewhere. And at the end of the day, you know, we all have this lovely vision of living in London, living in New York, perhaps not all of us, but some of us have. But I think people move to these places and want to stay in a small little hub and have their gym and have their work and have their other little thing, a little social circle, and stay in that little triangle. So community becomes huge. And if you can be one of those three things in that community for someone, then you've got a great business.
And what about people who might not feel that kind of space is for them, who might be nervous about going to a gym? Or
there's probably two answers to that. It might not be the right space for them is the first answer. That, you know, just because someone has had success in a certain space, whether that's training with me or training in, you know, some other group environment or whatever else that is, doesn't mean that it's going to work for everybody. It may not be the right time just yet. You may need to do some work in some other area of your life before you're ready to do that. And at the end of the day, if it's not, that's okay. You know, you got to listen to your gut and find your tribe. Find the right tribe for you. And just because it works for someone, really, you know, that is something that's important to note. And there are times, like there's a guy only, you know, wanted to come in to interview me today about training with me, and I cancelled that. I was just like, I just don't feel like I'm the right place for you, because he started his email saying my last trainer didn't work for all these reasons, outlined all of these data points of what, you know, was going on and what his needs were, and which most of that was okay, but like I just knew by his email and his personality type, was like, I'm not going to gel with this guy. He insisted that he was going to train with me, and I'm like, well, if you insist you're going to train with me and you're going to, you know, give out about this last coach who possibly wasn't the issue, anyway, sometimes people are just not the right fit for a certain area, and that's quite dangerous to the collective that are there. I've seen that both with staff and with clients, you know, where there's one person that comes into the mix that may have different values or be in a different space in themselves at that given time. And that can be quite, toxic's a strong word, but disruptive to the flow of a space. And I think as important as it was for me to be partnering coaches with the right person, it's also important for me to be recognising, you know, I got to protect that flock. Yeah. And if there's a little wolf has slipped in there, then you know you need to navigate that properly as well.
I'd never thought about that. Yeah. I want to talk about all of the challenges that you have accomplished and achieved.
Like getting out of bed in the morning sort of challenges.
No, but we can talk about those too. I mean, like the Arctic Circle and like the Amazon and all of the absolutely incredible endurance challenges, I suppose.
I forget about them as soon as they're finished, and that's just, it's such a funny thing that I did an event last week and people were asking me about them, and I kind of felt like I shouldn't be talking about them, and I don't know why.
That's
because
so interesting.
Truthfully, I love them, and then they're over, and that's it. And I don't go there and go, this is extremely difficult, and I want to say it is. And I've got this, possibly this is showing my age, I've got this thing at the moment where I get a bit frustrated because I see people putting up all of these events they're doing. I'm going to run here, I'm going to run there, and they're videoing themselves puking and they're talking about how tough it is. And I'm like, I can't help but feel like it's just not authentic.
Okay.
And that this is all about the likes. It's gone now. Everybody's like setting a world record or setting a, you know, doing this extreme event. I've been there and I've been doing them, but I think that I think we're all able to do them. I don't think they're that hard.
John Belton.
This is how high I rank everybody. I think everybody can do something like that if they want to get in there and try it. It's hard. Okay, I'll give it. I mean, I did the Arctic Circle. In 2004, I climbed the highest mountain in every county in Ireland. We did it for charity with a guy called Ian McKeever, who was subsequently got hit by lightning in Kilimanjaro and died. So last year we redid that again, myself and another guy, John O'Regan, and I realised, you know, that was amazing. It was like nearly 20 years later, obviously, 20 years later. And when I did it, when I was, whatever age that was, 20 years ago, 18 or 19, I think it was an extremely difficult thing to do in a lot of ways because of my immaturity as a person and my lack of understanding about what discomfort felt like and all of these things. And redoing that last year, I was like, I ran every mountain now. Unfortunately, John had a lot of bad falls and knocks and twists and turns. I ended up carrying him off one of the mountains at the end. He had a bad experience from it, but I kind of finished it and went, like, I can do these things. They're not hard. And I don't get this massive fulfillment that people think that they're going to get or feel like they should get from them. I feel like I'm not giving you the answer you want me to give you. Do you want me to tell you how tough the Arctic Circle was?
No, I'm fascinated by your answer. It's a real answer, which is what I want to hear.
I want to tell you about, like, there's definitely adversity, but adversity comes and adversity goes. And
so you felt, I mean, you have moments where you feel, I mean, do you have moments where you feel this is really difficult?
I'll tell you about my experience really briefly in the Arctic Circle. Okay, so I got there. We drove up. We thought we had this grand idea of driving up from the Algarve to northern Sweden to do this race. Myself and Adrian and two dogs in a camper. Ended up racing up there, and it was an adventure. Got to northern Sweden. It was beautiful. You know, truthfully, the hardest part of it was I wasn't able to work for those couple of weeks. Cost me a lot of money, and the financial strain of it was really difficult. Started the race. I got COVID. I picked Spencer Matthews, did it with me. Picked him up. He was sick. Got COVID from Spencer. Didn't realise it was COVID. First night of the event, we sleep in a wigwammy tent thing outside, and we're like literally nose to nose sleeping together in this with blankets around us because it's minus 25 degrees.
You need body heat.
Yeah, and our water bottles froze, so I couldn't drink any water. Started out the race the first day, and the first 5k was down a road through the middle of the Arctic Circle. Nobody for miles other than like mooses and stuff like this. So like beautiful, and I was like high in life running along the road. Next minute I felt like I got hit with a stick in the back of the leg. I started to cramp because I was so dehydrated and getting sick with COVID. I didn't know this at the time. So I was like, I'm going to have to pull out here at the first checkpoint, which is 10k. I mean, I couldn't walk. Not a big, there's a little cramp. It's like, I'm falling down. This is extremely sore. First checkpoint was 10k. Second checkpoint at the 20k mark, I about 500 metres away from it, the guy who was in second place, so I was in about third place at this stage, but there's people flying, when this kicked in, but then there's people flying past me. The guy who was in second place, everyone had passed him out, and he was sitting in the snow like this with his trousers down around his knees trying to go to the toilet. His stomach was gone. He was sick.
Oh,
He had a
no.
beard. He was completely frozen over. So I kind of got him up, threw him into the checkpoint. And when they got there, they were so worried about him. I was getting out about to go. They went, take paracetamol, you're okay, get going again. So I was like, oh, okay. So the Arctic races is a snowmobile track in width. So the course is that wide. And every 100 metres or 50 metres, there's a red flag that marks it. It's a walkway. So I decided in my head, I was like, I need a strategy here. I'm going to be left in the middle of this hill. I wasn't. There was a tracker on my back. They would have found me. But I was like, I need to get it. So I said, I'm going to try and run for 10 steps and then walk the remainder of the distance between each red flag.
Okay.
And then that became 20 steps. And then that became 2 red flags. And then that became 5 red flags. So I got myself through day 1 and I got in. But I basically did an interval session for the whole thing. I was like, oh my God, I'm absolutely wrecked here. This is horrendous. And I remember lying in my sleeping bag. Again, we were in this tiny little shack and there's 40 of us or so in it. And everyone was cold and I had my sleeping bag open and the sweat was pumping out of me. I was like, okay, I'm definitely sick. I had COVID. And I was like, look, something's going to go wrong every day. This is just what happens when you put yourself in extreme environments. So you just need to accept that that's going to happen and get over it. And one of the biggest things on the second day, again, I started off fast. Everything was fine. Went to pee. You're peeing in the snow. And my pee was like brown, basically. I was like, oh my God, I'm so dehydrated. This is terrible. I'm going to die. But as I ran on, there was 2 guys in front of me. And as I ran on, I saw where they'd peed in the snow and it was the exact same colour. Okay. So all of a sudden I realised that, you know what, everyone's suffering here. Everyone's struggling. The whole camp basically got COVID. We were all pushing hard. We were all feeling adversity. And it's like, as soon as that problem was shared, as soon as I realised it was a shared thing, that we were all suffering, everything else was softened because it wasn't just me, this was just part of it. And this was just like, this is what happens when you do these races. And that's kind of summarised my Amazon experience and like the mountains last year. Adversity happens and it's like, nothing changes, you just experience it and you move past it.
And I suppose that's like a metaphor for life, you know, adversity happens and when you realise it's happening to everybody, everything just suddenly does seem a bit
Well, you
easier.
can stop and stay there and, you know, poor me, why me? That didn't happen to her, that didn't happen to him. Or you can come up with a strategy, get to the next red flag. If that means you crawl to the next red flag, do it. And to the next red flag and to the next red flag. That red flag piece that from the Arctic Circle is probably something that I'd say, like, look, this is a tough week, but, you know, this month will be okay. So just work hard this week and hopefully next week's better.
Yeah. And I think the reason you feel uncomfortable talking about it is because you're a humble person and because you don't like to feel like you're showing off, but you're not showing off. And also it's interesting, like, why do you do them if not for, like, why are you going and putting yourself through that?
Well, I do enjoy, which is one of your next questions, I think, finding the edges of my capacity.
Yeah.
To find the edge of my physical and mental capacity, because every time you find the edge you realise it's not the edge. You realise that that's not the edge, because the edge is when you're going to fall in. The edge is just, I don't know where the edge is. So, you know, when I look at the challenges that I see a lot of people doing at the moment, I look at them and I'm like, I could definitely do that. That's fine. I'm not sitting there going, oh, that's easy, I could do that. But I love to see it and I commend them for doing it. But I think our capacity is so much greater than we believe. Yeah. But unfortunately, our exposure is so poor. We're not getting the exposure to adversity because of how we want to live our lives. This is just my opinion. I'm not saying people need to be pushing themselves to, you know, to breaking point. But I do feel like there's a Socrates quote about, I'll get it wrong, but, you know, how sad it is for man to live his life and not realise the beauty or the strength at which his body's capable, something along that line. Man or woman to live life like that. So, like, I do think that that's a really important piece for me, and maybe that's why I do those events, to show that, like, with very little training and with doing this, like, I can get it and I can do this and I can learn from it. And I've coached a lot of people that have done those races now, like the Amazon more so, and yeah, I like it. I think people get a lot out of them when they're coming from maybe a lower point, but a lot of people have completed them and, yeah, it was box ticked, I'm really happy I did it. But, you know, I think the biggest thing, if I was to summarise what I like about them, is in those five, like the Amazon was 275k over 5 days, self-sufficient. So we slept in a hammock, carried your own food, you know, you're going through the jungle, dealing with all that stuff. But in those 5 days, you experience more living than most people probably do in 5 years.
Yeah.
Because you're you are dealing with, oh my God, am I lost? We ran through part of the rainforest where only 60 people had ever been before. You know, we were going through, you are struggling, you're cramping up, you're roasting hot, you're hearing strange noises, there's snakes, there's spiders, there's jaguars, there's everything. And you're tired, you're doing 60k one day, you're doing 85k another day, and you want to give up perhaps, or you get tired, you get stopped, and like you have that so many times over the course of those 5 days that it really is like where most people just getting up, going to work, coming home, getting up, going to work, coming home, you know, having a few beers. That's fine, not saying you have to, but I feel like when it comes to actually living and bouncing off the very edges of our capacity, those ultra marathons and those big events give you so much of that you just get so much personal growth from them. And
do you feel like your resilience grows with each
I guess
one?
it does. I guess your resilience does grow from it. I think you need to be somewhat resilient to do them.
Yeah.
And I think resilience is a muscle that we train, and that starts with like, oh my God, I'm going to give up on this treadmill, this is difficult. As soon as you allow yourself to do that once, you'll allow yourself to do that multiple times. When the more times you go, oh my God, I want to give up here, okay, I'm going to get just to the next 100 metre mark, okay, I'm going to get to the next 50 metre mark, okay, I'm going to get to, oh my God, I've completed it. Is when you exercise that, it compounds and it supercharges you, and you go, no, I can do this, I can get through this, and I don't allow that voice to take over. You know, the tale of two wolves, right? You know that story of the two wolves.
Fable.
So like that's probably something that I really believe is.
Tell the story for listeners who might not know.
You know, a Cherokee chief sitting down with his grandson, and the grandson says, you know, he tells the grandson how there's two wolves that live in all of us. And one is happiness and contentment and love and all of the lovely things. The other is anger and resentment and evil and jealousy. And there's a battle going on inside us all the time. And the son says, which one lives? And the grandfather says, whichever one you feed. And it is really true that like the more you, and I have to keep checking myself back into that, the more you feed that resentment or feed that anger or feed that jealousy or feed that negative self-talk, it just becomes the dominant voice. So you really have to really trick yourself into saying, you know, I'm fantastic, I'm great, I'm etc. And pushing love out there. And the more you do that, the more, you know, things change, in my opinion.
Do you do that?
I have to work on that all the time.
Do you?
Yeah. I do. I have a really evil wolf that I have to keep at bay.
Do you?
Yeah, I definitely have. Yeah. There's no. I mean, I'm not shy to admit that. Like I've got that resentment, I've got that anger, I've got that jealousy, I've got all of those things there. But I've, you know, at the moment that guy's well subsided, and there's a really positive wolf that's living in there, and we all, that voice comes up for me where you know, when you have a sick little baby, or you know, when you're experiencing X, Y, or Z with your business, and you see someone else that's doing better, and you got to just come back to finding that positive, because that was a transformative thing for me to do many years ago. 2014, I was having panic attacks and like burnt out and run down, and I had to learn how to rewire my brain, and it was through self-talk that I could do that.
Tell me about that time.
Overtraining, trying to be something I wasn't when it came to, you know, work. I was taking a lot of a prescription painkiller that I got from the States because I wanted to train more and I wanted to do this and the other. I was in a bit of a toxic place relationship wise. I was working for CrossFit, went to Amsterdam, and my girlfriend at the time and another guy who was with, we all sat down and had a brownie thing together. I had a really bad experience from it and had like a panic attack from it.
Jeez.
That was fine. Fast forward 2 weeks later, I'm home in the gym, started having panic attacks again. And I ended up taking 2 weeks off work and just had a really, really like dark 2 weeks, which evolved into me going, okay, I need to go back to work, and then slowly pulling myself out of that. And the biggest thing, again, one of those moments, those pictures in my head, I remember at the time I lived in Donnybrook, walking beside a Herbert Park, and I had this realisation. I was listening to Napoleon Hill, an audiobook, Think and Grow Rich, it was called. And the book was all about how, you know, wealth generation for yourself, etc. But the line in it was, whatever our mind can conceive and believe, we can achieve. And it was always, if you conceive this, you know, and it's like The Secret and all these books would have evolved from that. But I kind of had this realization around conceive, believe, achieve. If you conceive a negative thought in your head and you allow yourself to believe that, you're also going to achieve that. Not just the positive stuff. So I was like, well, I didn't really need, if I keep conceiving this negative thought or story in my head, you know, that is going to come true, so I need to change that and rewire that.
And how did you do that?
Writing it out, reading it out, and then repetition on that.
Okay.
Which then evolved into becoming less of a need for repetition, because it becomes like a belief in your system. But I think I need to do more of that again. Not because I'm having panic attacks or anything like that, but I think just to kind of get my direction on life moving forward and where I want to be, I need to start getting a bit of self-belief for that again. So it's, all of these things, I guess it's like meditation. When we stop, it's probably when we need to continue, and like with exercise, like when you stop exercising, you go, I don't have enough time, life has gotten too busy. I'm like, well, it's probably when you really need to be doing it. And like that now, I probably need to be doing a bit more of that sort of work again.
You have 2 very young babies though.
I have 2 very young babies, and that's why I need to do it.
Yes, true.
I'm not a very, very young dad, and I want to be a very old grandfather, so there you go.
Do you find it difficult? Have you found it difficult to train recently?
My training's different. I haven't found it difficult to miss training.
Yeah.
Which most people in my world who train a lot and want to do that find that really hard, that their training goes downhill. I haven't found that difficult because my priorities, I guess, have shifted. I put that down to being a slightly older parent. If I was 30, having young kids, missing out on sleep, not being able to train, having to take a baby instead of go for the run or do that, I would possibly feel resentful if that happened. Maybe not. At the moment, I'm just like, I'll just do whatever I can. I'll fit it in here. And this little period where they need us or need me and want me and, all of these other things is only going to be short-lived. So there'll be loads more times to go for runs. And I don't get the personal, like, euphoric ego hit from winning something and, being the strongest person or being the fastest person and being the whatever else it is. I've always got my hit, for want of a better phrase, from seeing people achieving their success and being part of that journey, being part of that team. So for me to take my own personal stuff out of it and just train for the sake of training, I'm perfectly okay with that. Yeah. I think you're one of the few people I've ever met that you don't really have any ego either. And I think there would be a fear of things if you couldn't train. Your ego would be frightened that you wouldn't be able to get it back, that'd be slipping away, that some version of you wouldn't be available. Yeah, well, this version, I do have an ego. First of all, we all have egos, and I think the person who says they don't have an ego is probably the person with the biggest ego that doesn't even realise it. Their ego is their entire identity. I have an ego. I just have to learn how to talk to that monkey and not let it become the thing that is the dominant decision maker.
You have a well-trained ego.
I have an ego that's had to be put in its box quite a lot, I'm sure. Look, and anyone that hedges themselves and believes in themselves enough to go and set up the business, you have to have a bit of ego there to believe in yourself to do that and take those chances. So I do have an ego, I guess. But when it came to my training, I can just park all of those other pieces, because inevitably I train and exercise to be the best version of myself I can be for my kids now. That's the highest thing on my list of values, and family always is my primary value thing, and hence why half of them work with me, and all of that sort of stuff. So and I do think that there's a place now where when I exercise and have a yoga mat at home or kettlebells, whatever it is at home, and Indy's running around the place and getting in on top of it, like, I want my kids to exercise. I want them to be healthy and well and live to the best of their abilities from that sense as well. So that's probably where exercise is starting to go for me now.
So fatherhood has changed your perspective a little bit then?
Oh, for sure, yeah. I mean, I guess when I was growing up, my mum had 2 younger kids, and took a big break, and then had Liam and Roisin. And like I was 16 when Roisin was born. People thought she was my kid. I also had a very dark moustache when I was 16. So like I could have easily been her dad. And I would say that on some level, like, my mom had 3 older kids, 2 younger kids. 3 older ones probably helped, if not brought up the 2 younger ones. Like, from when Liam was 6 weeks old, he slept on my chest in the bunk bed when I was like 11 at home. We were really, really close. So I think I've always, having kids and understanding the beauty and how quick they grow up and the beauty of all those little special moments. I've always loved that and always understood that and appreciated that. Now that I have my own kids, it's like I got a snapshot of how quick that comes and goes. So now that I've got my own kids, I want to be there, and I want to be going. I don't want to miss something over anything else. So my perspective has changed.
And has it changed the way you're training other people? Like other people who are parents?
I don't think so.
No, okay.
It might have, but I don't think so, because I would say I had a good understanding of the tiredness, the fatigue, the demands, the stress, the worries. from all the years of talking to parents. And one of the really great things about my job is that I've been in it for a long period of time, like any career. Like, I've gotten to see people who are very successful in legal firms go through their full journey and retire and be absolutely wrecked and tired, perhaps because, they tried their best but they burnt themselves out. And I've got to see people who've looked after themselves the whole life, perhaps didn't, work as hard in certain areas, but always prioritised holidays and family time, and I see how they are. So I've seen loads of different models of what human potential is and what living can do.
Yeah.
So I'm very fortunate that I get a lot of insight into people's lives and everything, how they live them.
Yeah.
So I guess from there I can cherry pick the pieces off of that and have lots of different people that I'm going, I love how he did that and I love how she did that, and that was a great thing to do for their kids. And but in doing that, I guess I've gotten so many insights into the, what it's like, that when it comes to training parents, I think I already had a pretty good understanding of it. Possibly hasn't changed how I train my clients at the moment.
What are those little pieces you've cherry picked? I'm curious.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. So when I think of different parents, I think of people who've made a lot of money. That's not the first person I think of, but to start, let's think of people who made a lot of money but sacrificed time with their kids.
Yeah.
And perhaps lived in a different country while kids lived here, and to avoid tax or to make loads of money or to get a better, work in a better company or whatever that was. And they don't turn around and say, I missed all that, but they turn around and tell me how jealous they are to see me being able to hold my child and spend that time with them and do all that sort of stuff, and saying I missed all that period of my life. I see people who work so hard that their kids were just left in childcare all the time, and then the kids have come in and trained with me, and I've got to meet those kids.
Wow.
And when I see the relationship they have with their parents, I wouldn't want my kids to have that type of relationship with me. Personally, I wouldn't. These are my values that I've created based on my talking to these people. Everyone has their own priorities and stuff. I've heard people who say, everything they do is for their kids, and I've worked with people who say that, and everything is for the kids, the money's for the kids, this, that and the other's for the kids. And I see the exact opposite, where people who are saying they have to do it all themselves. I'm not giving them anything, I'm not handing out, I'm not doing anything. So I get to see all these little pieces, and some of it I want to, I've kind of noted it, and I need to create my own piece to that as I start to learn and navigate this all a lot more, because there's a lot of navigation still to happen.
Yeah. And what about generally, not just as parents, but like people that you're seeing? I love this phrase, actually, corporate athlete, that you use. People that you're seeing, that you're training, that you're looking after, who are living lives in different ways. What about that? What are you saying that works well? And how are you dealing with different people? I'm sure burnout is a big thing that you see a lot of.
I don't think burnout is as big a thing anymore as it was pre-COVID.
Interesting.
Pre-COVID, I had a lot of people who were having panic attacks, who were crying, who were on medication, who had to take enforced leave from work.
Yeah.
And I think people have gotten the balance a lot better, and then realising, I'm like, this could all be taken away from us, like when it was in COVID. And the burnout thing is dramatically reduced. Yeah, I really don't. I was only thinking about this because we started writing our book about all that so long ago, and it's not as relevant, I don't think, anymore. I think people are prioritising their health, their well-being. There's a lot more access to fitness, wellness, mindfulness, mental health stuff out there, and it is starting to ripple through. I definitely see that. I call them corporate athletes because people who want to achieve a lot of things in their life, in their careers, need to focus on the same pillars that the athletes I train. And I work with some of the, I've worked with very good athletes throughout the years, from Irish ultramarathon runners to pro rugby players to all the rest of it. And their hydration, their mental strength, their goal setting, their body, how their body feels, their injuries, even right down to how their body looks and how they hold themselves. These things are all still as important for corporate athletes who are going into an office. They want to command the respect of the room. They want people to be inspired by them. They need to be able to make decisions. They need to be able to be focused. And if you're dehydrated, if you're not where you want to be in any aspect there, just like an athlete will drop a ball, you'll drop the ball in your career as well.
I love that.
Yeah, it's definitely something that is really, really important. And you see it, like, it's a lot of the bigger partners and managing partners in companies, like, they all realise that now, and they're all focusing on these things. They're seeing the importance of it. I think people are drinking and partying a lot less.
Absolutely, yeah.
And looking after themselves.
And it's great that people are so much more aware.
Yeah.
And you see that. I mean,
Big
what
time.
problems then do you foresee in the industry? Like, what worries you about the wellness industry or the fitness industry now?
So I'm on social media, and it's a fantastic platform. I think the coaches, when I became a coach, one of the biggest things that I aspired to do was, get that certification from this coach, or do an internship with this person who specializes in this, or, and because it was always about, like, here's a photo of me at my certification from this weekend course I did, and you're going, God, that person's doing that. Now it's about, oh, that fitness person creates really cool content. I love what they're doing, and they look great. And that's what's motivated. So the quality of coaches coming through. I just did an event in Silverstone with High Rocks and Red Bull. We did a 5-day immersive course with 60 coaches from all over the world. They're like the best High Rocks coaches in the world stuff. And there was a few of the kind of more mature coaches like myself that were sitting around chatting about this. And a big portion of the course that we did was on content creation, how to get your views up, how to do this, that, and the other, how to grab, which is business and is important and is a place for it.
Yeah.
But it should have been, in my opinion, about how to work with general population, how to work with injuries about this, and there was no conversation about that. So it has evolved a lot, and I feel it means that the quality of coaching out there is going through the floor at a very fast pace. There are fantastic courses that people can do. UCD, there's lots of different courses at St. Anne College. All these places have great courses, but people can do weekend courses, put videos out there, create programs, rattle them out on AI to get them spell checked, put them on platforms, make loads of money. And look, I am jealous of that. That's fantastic. It's easy money. But when it comes to actually learning about individuals, looking someone in the eye, dealing with the person that's in front of them, coaching them, looking at their injuries or imbalances and working on them, I think the standard of coaching is going down at a very fast rate. So when it comes to wellness industry, but more specific, the fitness industry and training Gen Pop, I feel like that's really dropping off, and the standard of what's going on is poor.
And there's such a plethora of information out there at the moment on social media about fitness and wellness trends and all these different things that you can do. It feels like it's actually quite confusing. Like the landscape is not it's not straightforward. And I also feel like, I know that it's amazing that people are more aware of their health, but there's also a huge pressure, I think, to like optimize and be the best you can, and reach further and everything, which can be damaging in itself. It's
100% damaging, and I probably was a little bit of a optimized person at one stage myself, but I realised that, like, sometimes you just need to, not sometimes, like, life really is about balance, and you need to stop and breathe. And there's that definite health anxiety that's been created by my Instagram reels will be all about everything from cholesterol, I'm sure, to whatever other issues 40-year-old men are experiencing, and all of a sudden that does start to get into your head. And
absolutely.
Mine, I've looked after myself my whole life, but I do start worrying and questioning, and I think that there's a line: we are drowning in information.
Yeah.
But suffocating for education. There's some line like that that's really relevant. And I got that completely wrong, but it is the case. There's so much being thrown at us, but we want to know what to do. We want to know what to do for us. But there's so much coming at us because everyone's just trying to get you, hook you. This is how you hook them. This is how you get them in, and click the link, and this, that, and the other. But we just want someone to go, you know what, Dominique, this is exactly what you need right now at this stage in your life. We don't have that. That's where personal training is great, because you sit down, let's chat about you, let's ask these questions, you tell me your story, I'm going to ask your body what its story is, tell me what you want to achieve, and we're going to find a blend of all of this conversation, and we're going to create something that's going to be designed for you. And and it's very hard to get that through AI or through an Instagram person you follow or anything else like that,
because every single person is different. Their bodies are different. The way they're going to react, respond is different. And that is, and look at generic programs are great because they get people started. You can be part of something. You can be on a High Rocks Dublin program, and there's a load of people do it all together, and that is great, and it's great.
Couch to 5K, all of these programs are fantastic. But when it comes to really getting into what you need to individualize your approach, and you need to get some specificity with other pieces to it. And that needs to be then adapted as you adapt and you change and you get fitter, healthier, or whatever else, you know. That's one thing about the industry that I find a little bit worrying. I mean, it is all about niche down on your market. You know, I get hit with so many marketing gurus who, you know, 15 grand, sign up with me and you'll get you 100 leads a day and this, that and the other. And like, I hate the word leads, because I don't want to be filtering through people, convincing why they should come and exercise with me. You know, when someone emails us and wants to train, I would say our conversion rate is 90%, because they want to come in, and they've come in because, you know, Dominique has told me I need to go in. You're the person that's going to help me achieve this, or help me help myself achieve this. And when I start to see that you know, that's, I think, the way I want my marketing and my brand and my business to be going.
Yeah. It's sad that it's gotten to that in the industry, that it's all going to conferences talking about content creation.
It has become about that, and it like, you know, and it has become, and I guess I'm having a bit of a probably a personal crisis where I'm like, I need to be creating this content. I need to be doing these hooks. I need to be taking my t-shirt off. I need to be, you know, get my teeth done. I need to do this, whatever. You know, we all get tempted by that then, because it's the norm. But I honestly saw this yesterday. You will laugh. There was a guy put up, his hook was how to lose weight when you have the ADHD and you're a stoner. I'm not even joking. And this guy has about 400,000 Instagram followers.
Oh my God.
And he's an Irish guy. And I was just like, wow.
But that's all the keywords.
I can't go there. That is niching down on a market anyway, that's for sure. And you have the ADHD and you're a stoner, and how you can still drop weight when you're doing that. Look, I mean, each to their own. But like, I have become that grumpy old man that's just like, I don't like I love my job. And I'm not going to say I hate, but my industry annoys me. Love my job, don't love my industry.
I feel like you've always been a grumpy old man.
I've always been a grumpy old man since I was probably about 6 weeks old.
Right. Last bit.
Right.
Do you have any advice, any kind of practical tips, actually, for anyone who's sitting at home and who's like, and I think the majority of people feel this way, that I could do better. I want to look after myself. I want that longevity piece. I want to be there for my kids, for my grandkids. And I'm doing maybe a few Pilates classes a week or maybe a month, but I want to do more. What's the first step?
There's loads of answers I can give to that, okay? And I don't want to like drown you with too much. But I think the most important thing that we can all do for ourselves is get our sleep quality right. And that underpins everything else. So if you're not sleeping well, nothing good happens. I mean, I noted myself with my own training that my performance is definitely down because I'm not sleeping as much. And that's the only thing that's really different. But for any of us, you know, we want to do these great things and we want to go, but we all go from 0 to 60 too fast. And if you're going from 0 to 60 but not changing all the other pieces in your life, something's going to break. Because you're only really sleeping enough to sustain what you are currently doing. You're only eating enough to support what you're currently doing. You may need to eat a little bit more of the right stuff. You definitely need to sleep a bit more. None of us are sleeping enough. That's one piece to it. I think from an exercise point of view, don't overcomplicate it. Don't listen to all the social media content that tells you need to do this and that. Just move and just start. And start with 10 minutes or start with 5 minutes. But do it consistently. I'd rather see you do 5 or 6 5-minute workouts per week than 1 hour long workout per week and then another half-hour one at the end. I'd rather see you do something every day. So it's just like brushing your teeth in the morning and it becomes part of your life. I think that's really important. I think we need to zoom out. We all want, because we all get sold 6 weeks to abs, 12 pack in 2 days, carry on, drop 10 kilos in 10 days. And we're all of the fitness industry is marketing on that because we're preying on your weaknesses and your self doubt and your all of these things. And that's how we get you, and we get you on the hook. But when you need to zoom out, and this isn't a great sales pitch, but look at your life for the next 10 years. And where do you want to be in 10 years? And if you're 30, look at someone that's 40. And is that how you want to be? I don't mean visually, but just everything. Like from a health point of view, being able to be active with your kids, striving, looking healthy and vibrant and having energy for life. And if you zoom out, then what that means is that if you have a bad week, that's okay, because you've got 51 other ones that you can make it up for, you know. And zoom out there like that, it's really important, because fitness is a compounding thing, compounding interest in financial terms. You know, money grows and then doubles over time, etc. And the more you stay in the market, so the more time you're in the market when it comes to fitness, the more you're going to see those long-term gains. I had a client who had a bad fall, and she actually like broke a little bone in her wrist and really badly hit her hip and her leg, and they were sure it was smashed. But when they x-rayed her, they realised that there was no issue with it, because her bone density was so good. She's nearly 6, she's well into her 50s. Her bone density, she's been training for 15 years with me 3 times a week, and her bone density was like 25-year-olds, basically. It was perfect. And that's not something that's going to be appealing to a 25-year-old. But to anybody that's struggling and wants to get going, don't worry about where you've gone for the last 10 years. Make sure that the next 10 years go a different direction.
That's a powerful way to end.
There you go.
Thank you so much, John Belton. Thank you. Thank you so much for listening to the Image Wellness Project. We are recorded here in the beautiful, iconic offices, and we are sponsored by Activia and Irish Life Health. If you enjoyed this chat, I would so love if you could share it with a friend, or better still, go and subscribe to our channel. If you would like to hear a little bit more information about the Image Wellness Project, you can head over to image.ie, where we'll also have any information on events coming up. We've got lots this year, so do head on over there. And finally, I would like to thank you for listening. Do mind yourself this week, and we'll chat soon.